I do want to kind of clear up figures. How did you get every 2 minutes a new home is created for a migrant?
A migrant a minute comes to Britain. A migrant a minute comes to Britain. In fact, it's actually more than that. 2.5 million have come to Britain over the course of the last 2 years. In fact, 1 in 30 people on the streets of Britain today has come in the last 2 years.
Now, that figure, I will say...
Which is extraordinary. Here's the thing. Half of those that have come aren't coming to work. They're coming as dependents.
Where did you get that figure?
52% that have come as dependents. We've even allowed 125,000
Who in the
people...
future could work, yeah?
A migrant a minute. These 4 words from Nigel Farage sent shockwaves through a BBC interview, leaving host Naga Munchetty visibly shaken. As Munchetty tried to challenge Farage's views on immigration, she found herself on the back foot. How did this political outsider manage to dominate one of Britain's most respected broadcasters? Nigel Farage's claim that a migrant a minute enters the UK, the studio, like a thunderbolt. Naga Munchetty's eyebrows shot up, her composure momentarily shaken. This wasn't just another political soundbite, it was a challenge to the very core of Britain's immigration debate. The UK has long grappled with immigration, but Farage's statement took it to a new level. Why? Because it painted a vivid picture of an overwhelmed nation.
We have fact-checked that figure, and that figure takes a look at the people who are coming in and hasn't accounted for the people who have left.
A migrant a minute is net. But the gross figure is 2.5 million people.
1 in 30 is not there. Children don't come over here and not work, do they?
This is making us poorer. It's very interesting. Everyone says we need net migration for GDP, the size of the national cake, and it's getting worse. And it's getting worse. So look, all I'm arguing is common sense. We're living through a population explosion. We can't cope. It's making us poorer, and our living standards are declining as a result of it.
Its borders seemingly porous. Munchetty, sensing the gravity of the claim, demanded sources. But Farage didn't miss a beat. Calmly citing government data, Farage left Munchetty visibly flustered. It was a masterclass in political maneuvering. But what did these numbers really mean? Net migration, gross migration, these terms get thrown around, but their implications are often lost in the noise. Net migration refers to the difference between those entering and leaving the country. Gross migration, on the other hand, is the total number of people moving in or out. Farage's focus on gross numbers painted a stark picture of the sheer volume of newcomers. But if Farage's claims hold water, what does this mean for British society? The implications are far-reaching. Housing, already in short supply, would face unprecedented demand. Public services, from healthcare to education, could buckle under the strain. And what about the job market? Would native Britons find themselves competing for roles in an increasingly crowded workforce?
I'm all for people coming into Britain and British people working abroad. I'm all for it. But the scale on which this is happening is appalling. And for the Conservatives, it is a complete breach.
What's appalling about it?
The Conservatives promised in the last 4 manifestos to reduce the level of net migration. In fact, in 3 of them, they promised to tens of thousands a year. It is now 750,000. That is a complete breach of trust with the British public. And whether we got things right or got things wrong would be down to us. Now, there was a reasonable expectation that we'd tighten up border controls and that fewer people would come. That is why Brexit passed.
Farage didn't stop there. He dropped another bombshell. 52% of recent migrants are dependents, not workers, not students, but family members relying on others. This statistic, if accurate, suggests that the strain on public services could be even more severe than initially thought. The atmosphere in the studio crackled with tension. Munchetty, usually in control, found herself on the back foot. But Farage wasn't done. He was about to flip the script in a way that would leave the seasoned BBC host scrambling for a response. As the interview progressed, it became clear that this wasn't just about numbers. Farage was tapping into deeper concerns about British identity, social cohesion, and the country's ability to absorb such rapid change. His supporters see him as a voice of reason in a sea of political correctness, while his critics accuse him of fear-mongering. But one thing was undeniable. Farage's performance was resonating with viewers frustrated by the current political landscape. His calm demeanor, contrasting sharply with Munchetty's growing unease, showcased his ability to handle pressure and present data confidently. As Manchetti prepared her next question, little did she know that Farage was about to turn the tables on her in spectacular fashion. The interview was about to take an unexpected turn.
Can I just ask you first, you're a very young political party in historical terms. Can I get your assessment of where you think you are, 3 weeks away?
I mean, we very much hoped it would come in the autumn. It's been rushed upon us. I hummed and hawed as to what to do. I finally decided I'd come out of retirement and have another go. Look at the Times newspaper today. You'll see in the YouGov poll, we've overtaken the Conservatives. We're lying second, albeit with Labour at the moment some way ahead. So we've had a phenomenal start.
One that would leave the host truly speechless. Just when Manchetti thought she had Farage cornered, the tables turned dramatically. She presented evidence of unfulfilled Brexit promises, particularly the pledge to reduce net migration to tens of thousands per year. With net migration now reportedly at a staggering 750,000, Manchetti seemed to have Farage trapped, but the seasoned politician had an ace up his sleeve. Let's fact-check this, shall we? Farage's unexpected pivot left Manchetti momentarily stunned. The atmosphere in the studio shifted palpably as Farage took control of the narrative. He didn't deny the numbers, but instead reframed the entire debate. What I said in the referendum is we would be in charge, and whether we got things right or got things wrong would be down to us, Farage asserted, his voice steady and confident. This wasn't just a clever deflection, it was a masterclass in political maneuvering. Farage's argument about self-governance and responsibility struck at the heart of the Brexit debate. He effectively shifted the focus from specific promises to the broader principle of national sovereignty. But how would Manchetti respond to this change in direction? As it turned out, she struggled to regain her footing. Farage's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Manchetti's growing unease. He systematically dismantled her arguments, pointing out that the Conservative Party's failure to control immigration had led to a breach of trust with voters. Farage positioned himself as the voice of the people, articulating frustrations that many viewers likely shared. The payoff came when Farage revealed his claim about Brexit's impact on border control and immigration. He argued that the expectation post-Brexit was to tighten border controls and reduce immigration levels. By framing the issue this way, Farage effectively turned the interview into a referendum on political accountability. Farage's approach to discussing immigration is characterized by directness and a refusal to back down. This resonates with voters tired of political jargon and broken promises. As one observer noted, the more they pushed, the calmer he seemed. This ability to maintain composure under pressure is a key aspect of Farage's political persona. What started as a discussion about immigration numbers had transformed into a broader debate about political integrity and the future of British democracy. Farage's performance showcased why he continues to gain traction with frustrated voters. His willingness to address sensitive topics directly contrasts sharply with the more cautious approaches of his political opponents. As the interview drew to a close, it was clear that Farage had not only held his ground but had managed to dominate the conversation. Manchetti, usually in control, found herself outmaneuvered by a politician who had turned her own questions into a platform for his views. The encounter served as a stark reminder of the complex and often unpredictable nature of British politics in the post-Brexit era. Farage's performance in this interview showcases why he's gaining traction with frustrated voters. His direct approach and ability to turn the tables on seasoned journalists resonate with those tired of political doublespeak. Recent polls indicate that Reform UK, led by Farage, is gaining momentum, with membership numbers reportedly surpassing those of the Conservative Party. This shift reflects growing dissatisfaction with traditional parties and their handling of key issues like immigration. But what does this mean for the future of British politics? Is Farage's unfiltered style the new norm, or will it lead to further polarization? As viewers, it's crucial to look beyond the sound bites and fact-check political claims independently. Government data, reputable news sources, and fact-checking organizations offer valuable tools for scrutinizing political statements and providing context. In a world of carefully crafted political messages, Farage's direct approach stands out. But is it the future of British politics, or is it a symptom of a deeper discontent with the political establishment? As Reform UK climbs in the polls, even overtaking Labour in some areas, it's clear that Farage's message is striking a chord. The question remains, will this translate into lasting political change, or is it a temporary rebellion against the status quo?